Well, hello. How we doing? There we go. All right. Well, what's going on, everybody? Glad y'all could come out here and check out this live stream full review of the Cobra Kai series. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, wait for some people to show up. I'm not sure how many are going to show up for the live stream itself. The live streams have been kind of dead lately, but you know. Hey, Evan, what's going on there, big guy? All right. Just make sure everything's good. All right, cool. So if you're watching in the stream, make sure to hit me up in the chat. Let me know how your day is going. Let me know what you're thinking right now. Thoughts about Cobra Kai series. If you've seen it, if you haven't, spoiler alert. Spoilers coming in. So from the first Karate Kid movie. What's up, Z-Play Gaming? How you doing? It's literally a pickup right from the first Karate Kid movie. You know, Johnny Lawrence versus Daniel LaRusso facing off each other in the karate tournament. Daniel wins. And basically what Cobra Kai is about is all the events that happened after that. So I did my reviews for the first 2 episodes. Those were the free episodes. They're up on my channel right now. But the rest of the series, I just binge watched it through, and now I'm reviewing the rest of it right now. And all I can say about Cobra Kai is it was incredible. It was absolutely amazing. If their goal was to make you feel nostalgic about the first Karate Kid movie, they succeeded. they did their job well. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down a list of characters, just talk about each character, then talk about what I liked about the show itself, the plot line, and what Johnny's life really went into a tailspin after he lost to Daniel in that tournament. It's incredible to actually see how much his life was affected by that one moment. Like we see it in the first 2 episodes in a couple of flashbacks that he's actually really affected by it. And I don't even know. I don't even know. All I know is he was really, and shows throughout, you know, the show. He's drinking, he's getting drunk, he's just in the dumps, he's living in the slums. He's only able to survive off of money from his stepdad, which is terrible because his stepdad isn't the best man in the world. But anyways, that's what I thought about Johnny. He definitely needed to get his life in shape. And Miguel really helped him do that. When he met Miguel, Johnny just saw a lot of him in Miguel. Johnny saw a lot of himself in Miguel. So I thought it was interesting that they had Miguel be the typical, you know, jittery, nervous, shy teenager in high school. And then they have Johnny, who's this straight to the point, I'm going to say it how I feel type of guy. And I mean, I don't even have the words to describe it. It was just Miguel was looking for a father figure. Johnny was looking for purpose in life, and they both gave each other what they wanted. So the two of them really completed each other. They really completed their characters. Johnny then had a student in Miguel, and Miguel finally had an influence in his life that made him more confident, taught him how to defend himself, basically gave him a reason to go to high school and actually try to succeed. So Johnny and Miguel were really 2 sides of the same coin throughout the entire series. It was great seeing Miguel's progression from turning on this shy, not confident at all, just nervous teenager into the Cobra Kai student that he was at the end. If you go back and you watch the first episode of Cobra Kai and then you watch the last episode, the difference in how Miguel holds himself and how he acts is incredible. I mean, just looking at it, you can see a lot of Johnny in Miguel at the end of it. In the beginning, Johnny wasn't anything like Miguel. In the first Karate Kid movie, Johnny was he was more the high school bully type of character in the first Karate Kid. But in Cobra Kai, in the first couple episodes, you go back in a flashback and you see that Johnny was once like Miguel, had no friends, couldn't socialize with anybody. It was very similar. There's a lot of similarities in their characters from when they were younger. So that's Johnny. I thought Miguel was good for him. That's pretty much what I think about Miguel, too, is that Miguel and Johnny really completed each other. They gave each other some purpose. So Johnny more or less cleaned himself up throughout the series. But let's talk about Daniel. Now, Daniel in the first Karate Kid movie was drastically different than the way he was in Cobra Kai. When we first meet Daniel, it's Johnny sees him in a commercial, or he's driving by on the highway, the boulevard, and he sees the big sign for LaRusso Auto Group. So now Daniel's this hotshot car salesman, and it's hate to say that, but Daniel's nothing like he was in the first movie. It's kind of gotten to his head that he has all this money now and he has this successful business and he's pretty well off. He's pretty well off in this show. So I think it's the fact that he came from nothing, that the fact that Daniel grew up with literally nothing, that he was living the way Johnny is living in the show back in the first Karate Kid movie. So now that he has all this money, has a successful business, he has a family, now he's starting to act a little bit more like, I don't want to say like snobbish, but that's pretty much how he was acting. He was acting like the typical right guy, you know, all the money in the world, happy life, family, kids, wife, and Johnny's the complete opposite of that. So when you first see Daniel, you don't really know what to think. At least that's how it was for me. I didn't really know what to think when I first saw Daniel. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Who is this guy? This is not the same kid from Karate Kid 1. You know, what's happened since the first movie? And I just think that without Mr. Miyagi to give him guidance, that he kind of just fell off and went down into what he would have become without Mr. Miyagi. And hurt Karate Kid fans, especially ones like me. Like, I enjoyed seeing the dynamic between Mr. Miyagi and Daniel, and I'm sad that we couldn't get to see it in this show, although we kind of did. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But the fact that Mr. Miyagi was gone, passed away for looks like quite a few years in this show, I think Daniel was a little bit without guidance. Like, he had stopped doing karate, he had stopped practicing martial arts, and he was pretty much just basing his life off of his business and his family. There's just those two things. But you could just see how much that he missed it once he started up again. Once he started practicing his katas and his forms again, you could just see it in his face. He was like, oh, I forgot how much fun this was. I forgot how much this meant to me. I forgot how much that karate did for me. So that was a good moment to see during the show, was once he started actually practicing again, that you could just tell, hey, this is something that makes up a big portion of Daniel's life. So, and I think it got even better when he found Robbie. Now, Robbie's the next character that I want to talk about. Once again, spoilers for Cobra Kai, but Robbie is Johnny's son. And Robbie wants nothing to do with Johnny because Johnny left him back when he was a young boy. Johnny left him with his mother and didn't want to have a son. I don't think Johnny was ready to be a father, first and foremost. So Robbie hates Johnny's guts. And when he sees that Daniel LaRusso has a company, he goes and he applies for a job at LaRusso Auto Group, purely just to get back at his dad. Now, Robbie is a little bit confused in this show. He doesn't quite know what to do with himself. You can tell right off the bat. When you first meet him, he's in with this two other kids that they're unsavory characters, let's put it that way. A lot of drugs, a lot of stealing things. So he's not in with the best crowd right now. He doesn't have the best influence on his life right now. So Robbie signs up for this job, one, to make some money, but two, just to get back at his dad for leaving him, which I think, once again, is messed up because Robbie is confused. He has no influence or direction in his life right now. So the only thing he can think about is getting back at this man that hurt him. He's not thinking about his future. So that's what I think about Robbie right now. Yeah, sure, Z-Play. Go ahead, ask your questions. I'll be looking over at the chat back and forth while I'm talking. So if any of you guys got questions, throw them in the chat. I'll be going back and forth. So back to Robbie. Daniel found out that Robbie could use some help. Like even though he didn't know who Robbie was or what his background was or his backstory, he could still tell that Robbie needed help. So he takes Robbie under his wing, kind of, and he starts teaching him karate. He starts teaching him the same way Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel in the first movie. You know, taking him to these, you know, lush areas filled with nature and a lake, and started teaching him kata and forms. And then he showed him, hey, here's how this stuff is applied in real life. You know, he had him wax on, wax off the cars in the dealership lot. He had him wash the windows. So he really helped Robbie out in that sense. You could just see the difference in Robbie between the two episodes. Between the episode where Robbie was first signing up to get the job and he was telling his friends, I'm going to get back at my dad by working for the guy that he hates. And then in the episodes that Daniel was teaching him karate, you could see he was like, oh, so this karate stuff is actually kind of cool. I like this stuff. So, yeah. Oh, that's funny, Z-Play Gaming. I get it. How did Daniel feel about Johnny starting up the Cobra Kai style again? Oh, I feel like you already know. Yeah, Daniel did not know. Daniel did not like that at all. First and foremost, he immediately just assumed that it was going to be the exact same way as when they were kids. He thought that Johnny was just going to run Cobra Kai the same way that the first sensei did. I once again forget his name. I can never remember the first sensei's name. If any of you guys know it, let me know in the chat the Cobra Kai sensei's name from the first one. But anyways, Daniel just immediately assumed that Johnny would run it the same way, that he would, you know, see and that type of thing. But what Daniel didn't realize was that Johnny was really doing this, one, for himself, so that he could have a purpose in life, and two, to help out Miguel. Miguel was getting bullied before the school year had even started, so he was really doing this, one, to teach Miguel how to defend himself, and to actually help Miguel feel some confidence, you know, give him some self-confidence in himself. So that was the real reason why Johnny was starting up Cobra Kai, was to give himself some purpose and to help out Miguel. But Daniel didn't take the time to even like really have a conversation with Johnny about it. He just immediately assumed, oh, this is bad. This is a bad thing. I need to. And once again, there's that naive part of Daniel that without Mr. Miyagi, he doesn't really know what he's doing. So I think that was a mistake on Daniel's part, that he needed to just sit down and have a conversation with Johnny. But when he first walked into that Cobra Kai, he had a incomplete story, some mixed emotions, and flashbacks from his past. And that's all he was going off of. That's all that he was walking into to confront Johnny with. And basically how it worked was Johnny and Daniel pretty much reignited the old rivalry. They were leaving each other alone for the most part. I wouldn't say that they were friends, but they were leaving each other alone even after Johnny went to Daniel to get his car fixed, unintentionally, obviously. But they were leaving each other alone until Daniel walked into Cobra Kai, and then they had that confrontation on the mat, which I thought they were going to start duking it out right there, and that would have made me so happy. I was like, "Argh!" That's probably my biggest regret about Cobra Kai, is that there was no fight between Daniel and Johnny, quote unquote fight. There was a lot of verbal fights, but no physical fights, and that I was disappointed in. So that needs to happen in the next Cobra Kai series. They need to have a rematch. So that's what happens with Daniel Cobra Kai. Let's see. Let's go back to the character list. Let's talk about Daniel's daughter and what a complex character that she was. Like when we first meet her, she was in the car that crashed into Johnny's car, which sent him to LaRusso Auto Group to get it fixed, and that set the whole events of the show in motion. So that's how she was tied to Johnny. But she goes to the same school as Miguel, and she's in with a bad crowd too. So her and Robbie actually have some stuff in common, but we'll get to more of that later. She has in with a bad crowd too, but she doesn't realize that she wants to be a popular girl, you know, like any other teenage girl that's in high school wants to be. They want to be with the popular crowd. So she has another friend that's in with the nerdy crowd named Aisha. And because Sam is with this unlike, you know, the cyber bully girl type of thing, you know what I mean? Like a body shaming girl, that whole group, she ends up alienating Aisha and they don't be friends anymore, which sends Aisha to Cobra Kai to learn karate. See how everything's tying in here? I thought it was really good the way they wove all these different plot lines together. They did a good job with that. So Sam actually is dating the bully that is beating up Miguel or giving Miguel trouble. So, I mean, that right there ties it in together. In the confrontation in the cafeteria, Sam and Miguel meet. I actually saw that coming. I predicted that. I was like, okay, so Miguel and Sam are going to get together, and then there's going to cause even more friction between Daniel and Johnny because it's Daniel's daughter and it's Johnny's student. That's going to cause even more friction between them. And of course, it did. As soon as Johnny found out, he was livid that he was dating LaRusso. And then Sam actually kept it a secret that Miguel was training at Cobra Kai because she didn't want to believe all the stuff that her dad was saying about them. She didn't want to, no, they're not all bullies. They're not all, you know, these psychopaths. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some good ones. So that caused even more friction between Johnny and Danny for new friction now for this show. So that's pretty much the only real role that Sam played was, you know, once again, you know, keeping Daniel grounded. That was also another thing, you know, keeping him in check. She did that a few times. But just, you know, she was the link between Daniel and Johnny. Her and Miguel were the you know, the catalyst for the whole confrontation to start up again. So that's the thing about Sam. Any other characters we should talk about? Oh, Daniel's wife. I liked Daniel's wife. She was like the voice of reason throughout the entire show. Like whenever Daniel was doing something stupid, she would be like, "What? What did you do?" And like this and that. And when Daniel and Johnny confronted each other in the backyard of Daniel's house, she was there to stop them. Otherwise, they would have started fighting once again. So Daniel's wife was a very important character. And if it wasn't for her, things could have been much worse for both Daniel and Johnny. So good thing Daniel's wife was there. Let's see. Let's talk about some of the scenes that I think affected me the most. The first scene of the entire series. The scene where they do the flashback to the tournament and Daniel wins. That scene right there hit me because I was like, oh, I haven't seen that movie in years. And there it is. There's that definitive moment where Daniel wins again. And another scene that really hit me was when Johnny was driving drunk in the car and he was having all these flashbacks to his time with Cobra Kai, all the good times, all the bad times. And that scene hit me too. I was like, look at how much he's fallen. From the way that he's been, he was this big karate champion, and now look how far he's fallen. Now he's down here. So that's another one of my favorite scenes. Of course, the confrontation in the dojo when Daniel goes to talk to Johnny about reopening Cobra Kai, and they almost end up fighting again. That was also a really good scene because once again, I thought they were going to start fighting all over again. I was like, please, please fight. Go get it. Go at it again. It ended up not happening, though. So that was another scene that I really liked. Of course, we got to talk about the scene where Daniel goes to see Mr. Miyagi. That was a very powerful scene because you could just see how lost that Daniel was. He had already attempted to try to get Cobra Kai to shut down in some very, like, bad ways, like ways you wouldn't expect from a character like Daniel. But yeah, he was trying some backhanded stuff there. And you could tell it was weighing on him. He was like, what am I doing? What is my purpose now? What am I trying to do here? Do I really know what I'm doing? So as always, he turned to Mr. Miyagi for guidance. And he got it. That flashback scene where he was talking, well, after he was done talking to Mr. Miyagi's grave and he got back in his car, there was a flashback scene to the first movie. And Mr. Miyagi gave him some advice. And he seemed to have his feet set firmly back on the ground again. So that was also a very powerful scene. Keeping with that theme, the scene where Daniel takes Robbie to a lake and it starts teaching him kata, teaches him, a balancing drill or stand on the tree, do each of your kicks. And once you can do all of them, then you can come back and get me. So that was also a very powerful scene because it was really a changing of the guard. You used to see Mr. Miyagi teaching Daniel the kata and all these, back in the nature, in the parks, by the lakes and stuff like that. Used to seeing Daniel being the student. But in this case, now he's being the teacher. And I have to say, Daniel was a very good teacher. Like, he spoke in a very simple way. He didn't overcomplicate things, just the way Mr. Miyagi did. If we were to compare the two, I'd say I enjoyed Mr. Miyagi better as a teacher and Daniel more as a student. But Daniel was still a good teacher. I thought it was a great way to see that, hey, Daniel's grown up now. He's not the same way he was in the first Karate Kid movie. He still needs guidance, but he's also capable of giving the guidance now. So I thought that was amazing. The entire last episode was incredible. Just watching that episode, it was like, wow, this is bringing me right back to the tournament. This is bringing me right back to the tournament in the first movie. One of the things I didn't like about that was Miguel, the way that he changed throughout the show. Everybody changed. All the characters changed throughout the course of the show. Like, for instance, we saw Johnny going from hating life and being a drunk to being this accomplished sensei that had a bunch of kids looking up to him. We see Daniel going from being this, hey, I'm a big shot auto salesman, to once again being a karate teacher like Mr. Miyagi. And then we see Miguel go from being this jittery, nervous teenager to being a lot like the way Johnny was in the first in the first Karate Kid movie. And I didn't like that because, obviously that had to happen, and it was a good thing that it happened. It was a good plot device. But it was tough seeing the way that he had changed. You're watching him in the last episode of the series or of the season, and you say, wow, this is the same kid that went to Johnny for help. Like, this is the same kid that asked Johnny to teach him. Like, that was he was the one that was saying that he was going to really hurt Robbie because Robbie and Sam had kind of started developing a thing going on, although it was obvious that Sam didn't want it to be anything more than a friendship. Robbie had more designs on her than friendship, though. And I think Miguel sensed that, and that wasn't good. That didn't do really well for Sam and Miguel's relationships, and then Sam and Miguel broke up. And once Robbie was in the tournament and it was him versus Miguel, you could just see that vicious side of Miguel that obviously Cobra Kai training instilled in him. And it was tough to watch. Obviously, it's hard not to root for Miguel because he's one of the main characters in the series. But at the same time, you're like, this is not the way to win there, guy. This is not the way to win. But at the same time, I still think it's going to be all right. I don't think Miguel is going to stay the way that he is. I think Johnny's going to straighten it out. He's going to clear things up. But that was one of my favorite, just that entire episode was one of my favorite parts of the series. Excuse me. So let's open up the chat now. If you're watching on a live stream, jump into the chat. Let me know what you thought about Cobra Kai or whether or not you saw it. And if you're watching on the replay, jump down to the comment section. Let me know what you think about Cobra Kai. So while we're waiting, let's see. What else did I really like about this show? Where should they go from here? That's what we should talk about next. Where should they go from here? They definitely need to show like Sam restarting her karate training, because they hinted at the fact that her and Daniel had trained at a very young age, but then she had stopped, or like she had outgrown it or something like that. But Daniel still wanted to teach her. So I really want to see Sam get back into training by Daniel. So that's something they need to do in season 2. Johnny needs to straighten out Miguel. Johnny needs to set Miguel back on the right path. He did good by those kids. He helped them out a lot, but now Johnny needs to make sure he doesn't start falling back into the way Cobra Kai was in the first Karate Kid movie. Daniel and Robbie, I don't think that Daniel's going to continue to train Robbie. I think Robbie is going to stop training with Daniel, and probably go over to Johnny. Don't ask me why I think that. It's just like one of those instinctive feelings that I feel like Robbie's going to switch sides. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because at the end of the episode, Robbie and Johnny kind of, laid to rest all the beef they had with each other. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think eventually Robbie is going to go over to Johnny. He might even, I don't want to say he'll betray Daniel, quote unquote, but I do think he's going to stop training under Daniel and go over to Johnny. I said that a couple times now, so I'll move on. Okay, let's talk about the last scene in the season. Like the last scene. The scene where the sensei from the first Karate Kid movie shows up, which was highly convenient after Johnny made the school so successful. I thought that was a brilliant touch. I was like, after I saw that, I was applauding YouTube, Brett. I was like, well done. This definitely is going to bring people back for a season 2. Like, if anything, I'm even more hyped for a season 2 than I was for season 1. I can't wait to see what this brings back. I can't wait to see what that sensei brings back for Johnny. He's going to bring back all his old demons. You know what I mean? And maybe he might even start setting down Cobra Kai down that older, darker path, the way that it was in the first movie. I don't think Johnny is going to let that happen, but would that make a good story? Absolutely. I think that the sensei from the first Karate Kid movie is a source of contention for Johnny. Like, Johnny spent so many years training under this guy, and he's so used to following his orders that even though after the first Karate Kid he left Cobra Kai, some of the old discipline might still be ingrained in him. So I can't wait to see what they do with that in season 2. So I'm opening up the chat now. Let me know what you guys think about Cobra Kai. Let me know what you guys think are going to be doing in season 2. Watching on the replay, same thing. Jump down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the show. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen in season 2. So, and any other questions you guys have for me, throw them in the chat. Throw them in the chat or in the comments right now, because I'm actually starting to get ready to wrap it up soon. I've been talking for half an hour now about Cobra Kai. Let me just give you my general overview of my thoughts on it. I loved it. It was great. I'm so happy they did it. So happy they did it. It's part of my childhood, The Karate Kid. Like, just the first movie. We don't talk about 2, 3, or 4. We don't talk about those movies. But the first movie was such an important part of my childhood. And it's great to see Cobra Kai back. Do you think Johnny and Danny will ever actually fight? I hope so. I really, really hope so. I want to see like a rematch between the two of them. Maybe not even in like a malicious sense. Like, maybe not like the way that they almost fought in the backyard of Daniel's house. Maybe not like that, but maybe just like a rematch, just see like, okay, we've both started to rediscover our. So I hope they do actually end up fighting. Let's see. Alrighty, well. Alrighty then, everybody, that'll do it for me for now. Make sure after this goes on the YouTube channel for the replay, make sure you hit up the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about Cobra Kai, what's going to happen in the next season. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to start doing these live streams every Saturday, same time, same place, and I'll let you guys choose the topics throughout the course of the week. So if you ever have a topic for this live stream that you'd like me to do, just let me know down in the comment sections of all the videos that I post. I have a few reactions planned coming out for next week. One of them, I will say, is how Black Panther should have ended. That will be coming out, so stay tuned for that. And I will definitely be streaming some gaming. I know I had 3 failed attempts over the past couple of weeks to start streaming the Fortnite, but I'm going to be trying again. So stay tuned for that as well. Keep smiling, guys. Remember, you guys are special in your own way. Keep reading comics. Keep watching shows like Cobra Kai. Keep being geeky. Just be you. Just be you. All right, then, guys, that'll do for me for now. Remember, my name is Stevie Luke, and I'll catch you later.